Okay, we haven't talked about this, but I'm going to do it just because I like to do this. I'm going to just flick, actually I'll flick it. I'm going to do it this way. Now that's crazy because that's way too dark and way too close to the center. So I'm not going to use that. Not going to use that technique. I'll try it this way. Yes. Just a bit of this kind of sparkle. Okay, I've dried it off here, and now my cabin is going to be the center of interest. So that's where I'm going to have my absolute darkest darks. And I'm going to kind of follow the same process I did for the overall painting, is that I'm going to start with some lighter values and go into the areas that are going to have kind of shadow. And I'm going to leave that little strip of white to separate the house from the trees behind it. And then I want this to be fairly light valued. So this side of the building, the back of the building's in shadow. This strip is, I'm pretending the light is coming from this side. So this part of the building is catching the light. This part here again is in shadow. So I start off with a light wash there. And the front of the building is catching the light. Okay. Now into this, it's still very wet, so any paint that I put in there is going to flow. So I'm going to use that idea by mixing a darker value. So I've moved over to the side of my plate so I can control the amount of water. Mixing this permanent green light and dioxazine, it's proving I need to be very careful because just a little bit too much and I kind of lose it. So I'm going to just emphasize underneath the eaves trough. Now this is really going to run, so I'm not that worried about being that precise. And I want this corner of the side to be a little bit darker. So I'll do that, and I'm expecting and wanting it to flow the way it is. And this part of the roof is going to be catching the light, so it's going to be, I'm going to keep that white. This part is slightly turned from the light. So I'm going to take, but I want it to be a really light value. So I'm taking lots of water, just a tiny bit of color. I'm going to test it there, yeah, it looks okay. And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to let it run right into the side there, and there's going to be a nice mingling of those two colors. I just take a little, oh no, that's not what I want. Just to get a bit of detail in there. Make it roof-like, particularly down there. That's fine. Okay, just going to take a little bit more color in here. And I'm going to use that just to tighten up this edge here. And I want to have, there's a shadow under the overhanging roof all the way along. Okay, and now this is still very wet, and I'm going to use that again by mixing up. I'm going to get close to my darkest dark. So here you can see very little water, lots of rich pigment. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to do that, and you see it just starts to blend into the water, giving it again a kind of misty, now you see it, now you don't kind of effect. This will probably is wetter, so it'll probably do it even more. And I like that because it's a solid shape, but it just has a little bit more interest to it. And I'll re-emphasize under the eaves trough, or the overhang. I'm going to put a window at the front. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that. And now I'm going to take this same dark value, and I'm now just going to, just at the end here, I'm now going to start playing with some detail in the picture with this dark value. I'll put in a few specific strokes of grass and have a darker bush right behind the house. Now I'm decreasing the value because I'm moving away from the center of interest, so it's still going to show up, but it's not competing. Okay, I'm going to show you another little technique here. If I take the hairs on my brush and squeeze them, you can see, hope you can see, that they splay out like that. And if I get them really splayed out and I hold it like this, I can create it makes a very nice grass-like effect. So I'm going to just try and imagine what else might be in this yard here. I don't know what that is, but it's something that will kind of draw your eye a little bit that way. A little bit more dark there. And sometimes with these round brush, I don't know if you can see this, but I've flattened it so I have a very sharp edge, and I can use that if I'm kind of gentle with it, I can use it to get a real interesting straight edge. Emphasize these a little bit more. And now the last thing, I just want to come in again and go right back to the super darks for a few final hints here and there. I want the top of this door to be, the windows to be a little bit, so I haven't painted the whole thing, just the top, and it's going to flow a little bit. I think that'll be fine. Bit here and there. Just because I can't resist, I'm going to mask off the top here. This, so I just have a little bit, just because I really like this splatter effect. Yes. Oh, love it. And then I love it here, but when it goes to the edge, it's again drawing your eye out of the painting. So I'm just taking pure water and just tone those down. And since I got water there, I might as well play with it a little bit. Okay, and that's pretty much it for this painting. But some of this lovely stuff that's happening back here, you're going to go to the center of interest, but you're also going to wander over here and see that edge there between this shape and that. Your eye's going to go there. You know, it's going to be attracted back here. So I've created a movement throughout the picture. So it's a super simple composition, but it is a full composition. It works as a painting, and I'm really pleased with that. And I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.